Fans of Caitlin Clark are currently going crazy, and to be honest, they should be. This offseason, the Indiana Fever front staff took 3 decisions that appear to be more of an attempt to restrict Caitlin Clark, the top player in women's basketball, than to foster teamwork. The worst part is that during their separate interviews, head coach Stephanie White and Indiana Fever team president Kelly Krakoff made no attempt to conceal it. They uttered it aloud. What they given what transpired during the draft and free agency, along with Clark's admission regarding his role in 2026, the image is difficult to interpret. Let's examine what actually happened. Do you believe that Clark is being purposefully undermined by the Indiana Fever front office? Tell me in the comments section below. This front desk lacks maneuverability. I mean, man, it's just incompetence everywhere. I also feel horrible. I'm sorry that Caitlin Clark had to deal with this kind of front desk. It's absurd. They're a farce. Raven Johnson told the world that Caitlin Clark had broken her at a media interview 2 weeks prior to the 2026 WNBA draft. Emotionally, not physically. She revisited an Iowa versus South Carolina game from years ago, and portrayed herself as someone who had actually been harmed by Clark's rivalry. And because people were aware that the draft was approaching, the video quickly gained popularity. Clark was already a member of Indiana's team. Therefore, Clark's fan base didn't simply moan when the Fever approached the platform at pick number 10 and announced Raven Johnson's name. They became enraged. You can't really hold them responsible either. Clark's left side. She doesn't even give her a glance. She seems to be saying, "I don't care about you. I'm not defending you," by waving her hand. This is one of the reasons I now detest the internet. As if I had been beaten. I was harassed. I was called several derogatory names, such as monkey or something else I don't know. And I just believe that at the moment I wanted to stop playing basketball in order to spend time alone in this small bubble of solitude. Fans didn't happen to disagree with this basketball decision. A player who had just appeared on tape discussing how Clark had injured her was given a roster place by the front management. After the pick, Amber Cox declared it a home run. A home run. The GM of Indiana referred to it as drafting. Someone who described how Clark affected her emotionally during her pre-draft media time. Johnson is now a competent defensive player. Nobody is pretending that she isn't actually skilled at upsetting guards and making things tough for them. But at 5 feet 9 inches, she is undersized. It's really unclear if she can generate offense at the WNBA level. Additionally, Tyasha Harris was signed by Indiana the day before the draft. The backcourt rotation for the Fever already included Harris, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, Clark, and Kelsey Mitchell on a supermax contract. Therefore, the math was already tight before draft night. It doesn't help to add a 6th guard on top of that who can't consistently create her own shot. It puts an end to things. The Indiana Fever have chosen the player who was waived in the 2026 WNBA draft with the 10th overall choice because they unable to shoot. The person who was on the ground when South Carolina was being belted by UCLA. Johnson, Raven. Additionally, the board at pick 10 wasn't empty. Stretch forwards and inside players were available, and they perfectly matched the type of requirement Indiana had been carrying for the previous 2 seasons. A player that can release pressure on Aaliyah Boston, give Clark more space to attack downhill, and spread the floor from the 4 spot. The front desk ignored each and every one of them in favor of a guard. A 6th guard, whose most recent headline was Clark's emotional impact on her. Analysts consistently noted that while Johnson's defensive skill is legitimate, the positional redundancy creates a structural issue. Both CBS Sports and the Indianapolis Star released draft grades that were at best inconsistent. Indiana lacks a definitive response. A few admirers attempted to be realistic about it. While it's true that Johnson might be a valuable addition off the bench, the team still needs bodies for its front court. 5 guards currently require actual playing time, and a 6th is fighting for crumbs. This front office is incompetent, as I mentioned to you all. They have no idea what they're doing. They are unable to make wise choices. They don't have any vision. They don't think. They don't rhyme. They have no justification. They don't know. They don't know. They can't. They lack competence. The part that keeps coming up is what this truly does to a locker room before training camp even starts. There's a player in the same room who openly accused Clark of breaking her, vying for playing time on a team that revolves around Clark. The Fever front office created that circumstance by selecting Johnson with the 10th overall pick, regardless of whether Johnson personally intended harm by that interview. The pick dropped to them, so they didn't unintentionally walk into it. With other players still on the board, they made their decision. Almost immediately, fans began speculating as to whether Amber Cox and Kelly Krakoff had seen the Johnson interview prior to draft night, or if I decided it didn't matter after watching it. The draft was simply the initial issue because of what Indiana failed to achieve in free agency, which converted the Johnson pick from a poor choice into part of something more significant. Neither solution seems favorable for the front office. Kelly and Amber are doing a fantastic job, I must say. No, they lack competence. Now they have no idea what they're doing. Kane Clark, leave Indiana right now, right away. One of the top young bigs in the WNBA is Aaliyah Boston. Additionally, the Fever are currently asking her to carry an entire front court by herself, while the team gathers more guards than they can accommodate. Boston didn't sign up for that position, and no single player can fill it without flaws appearing as soon as they come into contact with a team that has true interior depth. There were front court players available in free agency following the draft, and they were exactly what Indiana needed. Players who can spread the floor from the 4 spot, relieve Boston of physical pressure, and give Clark more space to work off the pick and roll include Tammy Fagbenley, Rebecca Allen, and Azora Stevens. These weren't obscure names tucked away in a waiver. They were all viable choices, and the Fever spread to them all. Therefore, Indiana entered training camp with Boston as the only true center, a bunch of players, rather than adding a seasoned big man who could jump in and contribute immediately. 8 guards, 3 forwards, 1 center, 1 rookie, and conventional bigs who don't shoot from the outside. Analysts were considering that roster breakdown prior to training camp. Additionally, it's a structure that quickly leads to clear issues when you encounter a team that penalizes you for being tiny. They're a joke. One more 5'9" guard. It appears that you are attempting to take Caitlin Clark's spot. It appears that you are attempting to replace Caitlin Clark's security with a large number of guards. Yeah, you're attempting to get 2 or 3 individuals to experience what that one individual does. Man, that's how it appears. However, you cannot convince me that Caitlin Clark's potential is being maximized by the actions they have been taking. That's not something you can tell me. That rookie is Indiana's Justine Pat. Vanderbilt was selected in the 2nd round. She stands 6 feet 4 inches tall. She has the ability to shoot, which is a really positive quality. She hasn't played a single minute in the WNBA, though. Additionally, asking a 22-year-old to handle Indiana's floor spacing duties from the start is the kind of risk that usually backfires in May and June when games really count. Boston and Pat are currently Indiana's front court response. That's all. If you require someone, Boston has demonstrated that she can compete offensively against skilled bigs and stretch a defense to the 3-point line. However, the math quickly becomes problematic when she is faced with physically demanding inside players. The Fever have previously had difficulty dealing with that type of front court, and they haven't really solved the issue. They're hoping for the best after adding a rookie. Traditional bigs like Michaela Timpson and Misha Hines-Allen make up the remainder of the front court. Boston is unable to guard 2 areas at once when Indiana faces a Las Vegas or New York team with significant size and versatility up front. Furthermore, Pat isn't prepared to save the team. That isn't conjecture. It's simply the result of assembling a team with 1 center and 8 guards. Because they are aware that no one is on the perimeter, opponents who have completed their video job will cover every half-court set with paint, compelling them to maintain their integrity from the get-go. What is this team's size? You have Monique Billings, Aaliyah Boston, and, well, you just signed her. She is a goon that played with Dallas and Minnesota. She appeals to me. You have Dantas. We only have that size, as if that's all. There was cap space to address this. In fact, the new CBA allowed the Fever to add a significant veteran without dismantling their core, which is centered around Kelsey Mitchell and Clark Boston. No one in the front office has satisfactorily explained why such flexibility was just not utilized. The stretch for need was especially highlighted by roster analysts as something Indiana needed to fix this offseason if they wanted Clark's pick-and-roll style to continue being as successful as it has been. Without that, floor spacer defenses can crumble and challenge Indiana to defeat them from within, which completely upends the attacking scheme. With a rookie and a prayer on the front court, Indiana spent its offseason adding a 6th guard. The teams who surprise you in April are not the ones that eliminate you in the postseason. They discovered issues with your roster in October and developed a strategy around them throughout the winter. In her maiden season, Caitlin Clark dominated the league in assists and won FIBA qualifying MVP. Additionally, she drew defenses so far out of position with her shooting range that teammates were seeing open looks they had never seen while wearing Indiana uniforms. After all of that, Stephanie White's response going into 2026 was, of course, to give the ball to someone else more frequently. This is all I know. Stephanie White, you better prepare to play running and gunning like Caitlin Clark if we're going to be this little, because this team lacks size. This group lacks sufficient to play at a slower pace and continuously bring them out for physical games. The size is insufficient. It's too small to play that way. We're going small then. I'm drawn to these games. Therefore, we had better be moving up and down. It's that easy. Man, I have no idea what this front office is doing. This is not good. This is extremely awful. When asked about the new guard depth with Tyasha Harris and Raven Johnson on the roster, White candidly acknowledged it in a post-draft interview. Caitlin is a player who can play on and off the ball, and Raven is a point guard who primarily has the ball in her hands, so it gives us versatility, she stated. That's the coach of the Indiana Fever saying out loud that she drafted a point guard because she wants Clark to play without the ball more. Clark's entire offensive game revolves around her being the initiator. When she's bringing the ball up and making decisions, defenses have to account for her pull-up 3 from 30 feet, a shot that almost nobody else in the league can credibly threaten from that distance, and that threat alone opens driving lanes for Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham, by generating skip passes into Aliyah Boston in the post, and creating the open catch-and-shoot looks that Lexi Hall and Cunningham were converting at a high rate are all results of letting Clark run the offense, because the math always works out in Indiana's favor. According to Steph White, CC is a small forward who sits in the corner waiting for playmakers to get her the ball. What is Ty Harris? On opening day, will be the only team with 3-point guards. What about a backup for Aliyah Boston? No, Chloe. They want to minimize Caitlin and play her off the ball at the 2 and even at the 3. If you move Clark off the ball, you don't get a more balanced offense. Instead, you get an offense that is easier to defend because the player who is forcing 2 defenders to communicate and rotate constantly, you are now standing in the corner waiting for a pass, and teams can guard that without breaking a sweat. Following White's remarks, beat reporters who frequently cover Indiana made this exact point, pointing out that while Clark's off-ball game is good, it doesn't set her apart from every other guard in the league. Her on-ball creation is directly linked to Indiana's offensive efficiency numbers, and that's not a coincidence or a small sample size issue. Reducing that usage to fit a 6th guard into the rotation isn't a strategic upgrade. Rather, it's willfully making the offense worse in order to address a roster issue that the front office created by selecting Johnson in the first place. White publicly presented it as relieving Clark of pressure and providing Indiana with more options. And it's possible that she truly believes that. But you don't relieve a player of pressure by eliminating the things that she excels at more than most players in the sport. I'm not going to spend my money on airfare, hotel, and tickets to watch CC play off the ball. Instead, I'll just watch it on TV so that when that BS is happening, I'll turn it off. You relieve her of pressure by surrounding her with better supporting pieces, which brings it right back to the front court holes nobody filled this offseason. You honestly still don't get what you have in CC. It's a complete tragedy. Now that Whites has explained her philosophy, it makes sense to draft a point guard to handle initiation duties if the plan was always to move Clark off the ball. However, Johnson's offensive game at the WNBA level is unproven. And so Indiana's answer to who runs the offense when Clark isn't on the ball is a rookie guard whose scoring ability is genuinely questionable at this level. As a result, Indiana enters 2026 with a front court that can't space the floor, a new ball handler whose offensive Kelly Krakoff went on record stating that Clark needs to adjust to the roster and the system, not the other way around. That's a crazy thing to say out loud about a player who single-handedly drove the biggest attendance surge in WNBA history and turned Indiana into a franchise that people outside of Indiana actually care about. This wasn't buried in some lengthy interview where you could argue the context got twisted. Clearly, and the fan base received it clearly. Now, we know that the Indiana Fever's front office has been an absolute dumpster fire. Guys, We all know that they appear to be lost. They have no idea what to do, where to turn, or what's going on. Kelly Krossoff, the team's president of basketball operations and business operations, took to the Bulls didn't ask Michael Jordan to fit into their lineup Quarry & Company podcast. Shout out to them. She also discussed how they're going to try to reintroduce Caitlin Clark and get her back acclimated. Every championship-caliber organization in professional basketball history has operated on the same basic logic. Find your generational talent, then build everything else around maximizing what that player does best. Existing system, the Aces built their entire offensive structure around A.A. Wilson's strengths and kept adding pieces that made her harder to stop. The Warriors didn't tell Steph Curry to modify his game to fit the roster they already had. And Indiana's president just publicly declared they're doing the opposite. Krauskopf's framing actually communicates to free agents' thinking. When it comes to signing in Indiana, both Clark and other front offices around the league view the roster as the fixed thing and Clark as the variable. She is the one who adapts, the one who fits, and if her best attributes don't fit neatly into whatever system Stephanie White draws up on a whiteboard, it's Clark's problem to solve, not the front office's. Yeah, look, you've been around it for a long time. It does take a minute, but the thing about Caitlin, we've had a lot of great players here, is that she makes it so easy for everyone else because of her IQ, her passing ability. I'm in the way she sees the floor. Because of her passing ability and her IQ. However, Stephanie White wants the girl to play small forward and play off the ball. You don't ask your best player to lower her game and then act perplexed when the offense produces less because the offense produces less because you told it to. The timing of Krauskopf's comment is also inextricably linked to everything else that happened this offseason. Fans who watched Clark drag Indiana from a franchise that people hardly mentioned to a team with national television demand heard that comment and understood exactly what it meant. Season. If you look at it in isolation, you might think it's just awkward language from a front office executive attempting to control expectations in public. However, it didn't land alone. It landed on top of the Johnson pick, the empty front court, and White's admission that she wants Clark to play off the ball more. As a result, it appeared as though the coaching staff and the front office were all simultaneously pointing in the same direction. Let's hear what she had to say about them acquiring Raven Johnson. The idea of trying to always find another guard is you're trying to get obviously the best player you can. But positionally for us, we were really focused on a guard. We were ready if that wasn't available, but we were focused on a guard, and Raven was, one of those guards. Clark's on-ball creation doesn't just affect Clark's stat line. Because defenses are rushing to track Clark on the perimeter, Aaliyah Boston gets easier post catches. And Lexi Hall and Sophie Cunningham get open threes because two defenders just collapse trying to cut off Clark's drive. And Kelsey Mitchell gets one-on-one opportunities because the help defense committed somewhere else first. This reduces Clark's on-ball role, and each of those players feels it in their own numbers because their production runs downstream from hers. Krauskopf has been with this organization long enough to know what the 2024 and 2025 seasons were like when Clark was leading the offense and Indiana was building around her strengths. The attendance figures, TV ratings, and victories were there. So the choice to publicly portray Clark as the one who needs to change going into what could be the most watched WNBA season Indiana has ever had isn't just a questionable roster philosophy, it's the front office. And despite everything the front office did this offseason, Clark, Boston, Mitchell, Hull, and Cunningham are talented enough to move this roster somewhere. However, surviving poor management isn't the same as winning a championship, and Indiana's burning real prime years are learning that. If you're a Clark fan, you should still watch because nothing would be more satisfying than the Fever winning. Despite every dubious decision made this summer, Boston controlling the post, and Clark winning MVP and a championship despite being sabotaged. Do you believe the Indiana Fever front office is purposefully undermining Clark? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all alerts to ensure you never miss anything. On the screen, click the video, and I'll see you in the next